The actual operating cost is a key parameter when choosing one model over another in a very competitive international combat aircraft market with multi-million-dollar contracts. It's very hard to figure out the exact cost if that really exists. Many factors come into play in the calculation, and when you can get the figures, it varies a lot depending on the sources. By the way, I'm going to leave all the sources in a link below in the video description so you can check them out for yourselves. When available, these figures are highly volatile and variable. And this when they can be obtained, because the truth is that about Chinese or Russian planes, it is not at all easy to find data equivalent to Western planes. Welcome to a new video, don't forget to hit like. This is the new and revamped Aviation World channel. To get an idea of what the cost per flight hour of a fighter plane means, we must consider that the cost of spent fuel is usually between 15 and 25% of the total, depending on the number of engines, the price of crude oil at the time, which is already a highly variable data. An F-15, for example, can burn between 4 or 5 tons of JPA-8 jet fuel per hour. Also included are the costs of scheduled maintenance of the different components of the device, which is roughly between 60 and 70% of the total. Costs can vary over time. The United States Air Force, or United States Air Force, claims that it is reducing the costs of the F-35 from the incredible $67,550 per flight hour in 2014 to $42,169 in 2015, and finally the most recent data we have, $28,455 for the year 2018. And this thanks to improvements in maintenance and that there are more units in flight. According to data from the United States Department of Defense, it also tells us that the F-22 has an operating cost per hour of $33,538 for this year 2018. These are the official numbers they report. It's up to one to believe this or not. Modern military fighters are also extremely expensive to acquire, with the unit cost of the F-35A reaching $98 million. According to Lockheed Martin, this program has become one of the most expensive systems in history. And the cost of $1.5 trillion is forecasted until 2070. This is considerably more than the planes it will replace, such as the A-10, which costs just under $6,000 per hour, although according to other data provided by James, it can go up to $17,000, which shows how variable the calculation of these data is. The Air Force's attempts to retire this attack plane have received a lot of criticism. After its success supporting soldiers and Marines on the ground in Afghanistan, the F-16, one of the Air Force's workhorses, has an operating cost per hour of around $8,000, and the latest versions of the F-16 Viper up to $20,000 per hour. Across the Navy and the Marine Corps, the cost of maintaining aircraft is also relatively low compared to the new 5th generation fighters that are coming into service. The hourly bill to maintain an F-8B Harrier II is around $13,700, while an F-A-18AF costs around $10,500. Quite a difference, isn't it? Shouldn't other planes do the same job for less? Other examples to compare, with an official cost of $23,124 an hour, although other sources say it exceeds $27,000. or its more modern version, the F-15E, which is a bit less expensive with an official $21,301. Among the most expensive combat devices to acquire, more than $2 billion per unit, including development and operation, and to keep in flight, between $120,000 and $150,000 per hour is the B-2 Spirit, of which only 20 units exist, and which requires special infrastructure to maintain its sophisticated stealth anti-radar coverage. This is one of the main reasons why the use of unmanned aircraft or drones has skyrocketed in the last decade. The operating costs of this type of device are radically lower than those of their manned counterparts. One of the most famous is the MQ-1B Predator, which stayed in the air for an hour in 2008 for $3,679, while its successor, the MQ-9 Reaper, only cost a little more, $4,762 per hour. The long-range reconnaissance drone RQ-4B Global Hawk was much more expensive, about $49,089 per hour, even more than the devices it replaced like the U-2 Dragon Lady, which then cost $30,800 per hour, but with much greater persistence over the target and without the possibility of having new incidents like those that happened with the U-2, that is, politically cheaper. The highest costs of military aircraft correspond to another type of aircraft such as the gigantic C-5B Galaxy Transport with a cost of up to $100,000 per hour, but there are even more expensive ones. The Airborne Command Post E-4B Nightwatch, also known as the Apocalypse Plane, about $150,000 per hour, and the VC-25 known as Air Force One or the Presidential Plane, about $161,000 per hour. But why are these military derivatives of the Boeing 747 so expensive? It should be noted here that special defense systems are used as they have materials that can protect these planes against electromagnetic pulses, which occur as a side effect of a nuclear explosion. Also complex self-defense systems, but not only that, but the hourly expenses up to the crew's salary are included. Remember that with Air Force One, the presidential plane, it's practically a White House with wings. Not all countries can afford to fly these devices, even when they have been able to pay for them. Austria has left 15 Eurofighters, nearly stationary due to insufficient budgets to cover their operational costs, which range from 15 to 18,000 euros per flight hour according to various sources. The Austrian defense minister estimated the savings for the country to stop using this European plane at 2 billion euros. And it's not even close to the only case. In 2014, South Africa speculated about the possibility of storing half of its recently acquired Saab-Gripen fleet due to the inability to cover its costs, which in this case of Swedish manufacture barely reached 5,000 euros per hour, although according to the South Africans, almost doubled due to various factors. Finally, the African country decided to rotate the devices among the few available pilots, and for this reason, the cells are barely accumulating 100 hours annually. While the more advanced Rafale, Eurofighter or F-18E are generally considered to offer high performance and capability, not to mention the fifth-generation ones like the F-35, the types of operations carried out by Western nations in the last decade have shown that the smaller F-16 or Gripen are not at a significant disadvantage compared to the larger twin-engine ones, something that in today's global economy is to be taken into account, and cost-effective and efficient military contracting is necessary. Lastly, I leave you with the graph adding some other planes. I hope you liked it. Don't leave without liking it. Share it to spread the video and the channel. Until a new delivery, this is Aviation World.